Hi everyone, have you heard of the house hacking movement? But perhaps you have a family and are unable to jump in as a traditional single person has done, where you purchase a home and rent out rooms. My name is Noah and I'm a 40-something plus CPA passionate about finances, retirement, and living your best life. So there is another way to house hack other than the traditional model of you have very little obligations. It's either you or a spouse, and you purchase a home and then rent out rooms in the home to help pay your mortgage. There's another path, and that is looking for properties and purchasing a property that has an ADU. An ADU is short for Attached Dwelling Unit. And it basically just means you have, oftentimes on one floor of the home, you have a small apartment or a separate living unit that will typically have all the amenities that a small apartment would have. So you'll have a kitchen, a bathroom, either a bedroom or a studio space. So this is a wonderful way to get into home ownership if your finances are important to you and it's difficult to get into and afford a home and a house payment. It's also a wonderful way to be able to purchase up into a more expensive, nicer neighborhood that may give you a better quality of life. We did this when we were searching for our house. We focused almost exclusively on properties that had an apartment or ADU because we live in a very expensive area and real estate prices are quite expensive versus what most incomes are. And so it was a way for us to be able to live in one of our preferred neighborhoods and still be able to make the payments. It's not unusual for you to be able to cover 50% of your mortgage payment doing this. In our case, we cover in that range. We started with a travel nurse, renting out to a travel nurse for about a year. And then because the apartment we were thinking all along that we were gonna just do long-term rental. Have had some experience with that in the past, and that was kind of in my comfort zone and kind of was thinking that that's what we would do. But then we decided to, when our travel nurse moved out, we decided to give it a shot with Airbnb, as the property was fully furnished down to the towels, the dishes in the kitchen. Everything was already set up for short-term rental, and the prior owner had also done some short-term rental. So we thought, let's give it a try. So we've been doing Airbnb now for several years and other short-term platforms. And we gross about $40,000 a year, which helps substantially in making our mortgage payments. Now, what markets can you do ADUs in? Typically, it's been something that's been popular and very expensive. Think West Coast markets. Think Seattle, Los Angeles, San Francisco, all the kind of uber expensive coastal cities. But it's the theme and the idea of ADUs has been growing as housing affordability has become more of a crisis. And you can find many cities that now allow ADUs. So let's say that you did purchase a home with an ADU and now you need to decide to rent it. Do you want to rent long-term? You could find a single person or an older person who's just looking for housing at a reasonable price and just wants a quiet location. Or do you want to give it a shot with Airbnb? Airbnb is all about how nice your place is, how good your pictures are, and your location. If you live in an area that is close to amenities that folks desire, maybe you're in the mountains, or you're by the beach, or you're near a city that a lot of tourists visit. Perhaps you're in a city that has cruise ships that go out. Then anything like that that's kind of where you win at Airbnb. If you don't have any of that, you can do your research and crunch the numbers. But if you don't have some of those draws, it may make more sense to just have someone living there full time as a long-term tenant, as opposed to maybe you're filling it, but you're not filling it enough to make that extra money for the work that it will entail versus just renting to someone long term, where you don't have to worry about cleaning and other Airbnb issues. And you really don't need to do Airbnb. You know, in many markets, you still can get to that 40-50% of your mortgage payment being covered by the tenant in long-term rentals. Now, interest rates, of course, are much higher than they were a couple years ago. They've settled down from the high that we had around 8%, but it's still challenging, right? But that's where this type of property is so enticing, because perhaps you can't quite swing it, or you're not comfortable swinging the house by yourself. But if you have a rent that comes in that kind of helps offset that, then it's much more comfortable, right? And you still have within the walls of your front door, the house is still yours with an apartment to help offset that. So I would also say not all ADUs are created equal. Some are really nice. Some have been taken an apartment or a downstairs and build it out for that purpose more recently, and others may need some work to get to your vision. There's also some just things on how you want your property to look. Some may have entrances that are very discreet and maybe on the back of the property versus in the front near your front door. So they're definitely not created equal, and they're all over the place. So I'd love to hear from you. Have you done this? Have you considered doing this? Is this something you would consider if it would allow you to get the house that you want or in the neighborhood that you want? You know, maybe it means that you don't have such a long commute to work, or you get some other features in the house that you wouldn't be able to afford otherwise. So besides a better neighborhood, we were also able to get a better house. We got more space, we got nicer finishes than we would have been able to afford if we were looking at a house in our market for just ourselves without having the rental income that would come in with the property that we did end up getting. And to be honest, some days I'm pinching myself for how we were able to up level and essentially buy above our pay grade into a neighborhood that's the quality of life is vastly improved versus perhaps where we would have been able to buy otherwise. So there definitely are cons to this, and it's not for everybody, right? A lot of people do not want to be a landlord, and whether you do short-term with Airbnb, it can be fairly hands-on, although there are ways and systems to put in place to try to help with that. Or if you do long-term rentals, right? Once you get a good tenant in, they may stay 2, 3, 5 years or more, and you may be in a good situation, but there are definite risks, and it's something to think about. Like, are you of the mindset that you essentially are running a small business? And are you of the mindset that you would be open to that? Or is that just a hassle factor that you do not want to deal with, and it's not worth the extra income, however much it may be? And certainly it can be rewarding, but that hassle factor is real. So it's something for you to think about and decide, like, knowing yourself, is it worth it? For some people, again, it's not worth it no matter how great a house they get. But at the end of the day, in an age where housing has become really expensive and unaffordable for a lot of people, this is a way to get into the market. And really, I think it's an opportunity that should be considered for a lot of young families and couples who are looking to purchase either their first home or perhaps a move-up home. It's certainly an opportunity to help, make the finances work and help you get ahead in other parts of your life, and not completely sacrificing for the lifestyle of a house. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Also, I'd love to hear in the comments below if you'd like to hear more and see some more videos on running either a long-term rental or a short-term Airbnb style rental. I have experience doing both and have a lot of tidbits and knowledge I'd be happy to share with everyone. So comment below if you're interested in that. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.